Welcome to the final presentations of the 2024 Environmental Studies Capstone. These presentations are on student research conducted throughout the semester on air pollution mitigation strategies and policy and legal pathways for addressing the environmental justice concerns in the JFK neighborhood located in Northeast Oklahoma City. I'm Carrie Leslie, the instructor for the Environmental Studies Capstone, a service learning course partnered with the JFK Neighborhood Association and working with Denavetta Davis, the president, vice president Rodney and wife Cresha Redis, and the other Neighborhood Association members, board, and residents of the neighborhood. The JFK neighborhood was segregated at the turn of the century, prohibiting residents from living north of Northeast 8th Street, in an already established industrial district that continued to grow. The area was formally zoned for industry in 1951 by city planners who did not account for the potential negative environmental and health impacts for the neighborhood. Homes in the JFK neighborhood currently are located next to hazardous industries, including Haskell Lemon Asphalt Production Facility and Citgo Petroleum's Lubricants Manufacturing Refinery, both with active smokestacks that blow air pollutants and noxious odors through the neighborhood on a daily basis. The Citgo Petroleum facility is across the street from the Frederick Douglass High School. Height Plastics, a recycling facility to the southeast of the neighborhood, had a large industrial plastics fire last spring that required the hazardous materials and 8 fire units to control the blaze that blew plastic fumes throughout the neighborhood, with the smell lasting into the following days. The Deersborg Industrial Recycling Facility south of the JFK neighborhood has had massive explosions since the 1980s, from gasoline igniting in car engines during the shredding process. The sound from these has been measured as 140 decibels, which is equivalent to being 100 feet from a jet engine. Our class has also researched current state legislation to determine if any environmental justice or environmental health policy exists that could protect the JFK neighborhood. Currently, there is none in existence. Senator George Young and Representative A.J. Pittman and Councilwoman Nikki Nice, who represent the neighborhood, are interested in developing legislation that protects environmental and public health simultaneously. The health disparities in the neighborhood are negatively impacted by current exposure to pollution. All neighborhoods in OKC, including the JFK neighborhood, have a right to a healthy environment and pollution-free neighborhood. The City of Oklahoma City has a duty to uphold this standard. Each student will present their research and policy or mitigation suggestions. These are part of a larger report written by our class and archived in the Metropolitan Library Systems. We hope that this research can lead to achieving environmental justice and environmental health equity for the JFK neighborhood, which is long overdue. Thank you.
Environmental justice is very closely intertwined with racism and segregation. The JFK neighborhood, a historically black neighborhood located in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, has been one of many communities forced into close proximity to environmentally harmful industries. Industrial recycling plants, asphalt production facilities, and oil derricks are all within walking distance for the residents of the JFK neighborhood. This is primarily due to the historic residential segregation within Oklahoma City, which forced communities of color into areas filled with harmful industries. Now, the impacts from historic redlining, a process where certain neighborhoods were deemed hazardous and investment and home loans were systematically denied to residents in these areas, has started to cause physical harm to many of JFK's residents. Inhalants that are potentially damaging are being released into the air. Soils are contaminated with dangerous heavy metals, and homes are beginning to show signs of damage due to explosions from the Deersborg Industrial Recycling Facility. When gasoline is left in the engines of recycled cars, they explode when put under the pressure of the recycling plant's shredder. In 2023, a case occurred where a community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was able to sue the Bank of America for contributing to historic redlining. The bank agreed to invest over $1 million into the community's infrastructure. Due to the urgent and harmful nature of JFK's lengthy history with redlining, justice deserves to be served. Similar action could be taken where the people of the JFK neighborhood could receive reparations for the damage caused to both their health and their homes.
Throughout this semester and working with the JFK neighborhood, I have been most interested in learning about the air pollution residents are exposed to. I have written about air pollution in the past, and I decided my area of focus in studying air pollution would be best used here. The neighborhood is near multiple industrial facilities and is causing numerous health concerns to its residents. I believe these industries may be causing issues such as asthma and respiratory problems. When looking into the air pollution in the area, I used a screening tool through the EPA's website, which showed me the particulate matter pollution in the neighborhood. I found that throughout the whole neighborhood, the exposure to particulate matter 2.5 was between the 90th to 100th percentile. This is important to be aware of because being exposed to this type of pollution over long periods of time could result in severe health concerns such as respiratory and cardiovascular issues. One crucial regulatory framework in place is the Clean Air Act. This is a federal law that sets a standard for air quality and places regulations on emissions from industrial facilities. I believe a great place to start is to make change by having a stricter implementation of this act in the OKC area, especially in JFK. I believe stricter regulations from these facilities as well as a stricter monitoring of their emissions being released would give us a way to pinpoint which industries are most harmful and give guidance to the city to control these facilities' emissions. Another example that could be useful is the Healthy Environment for All Act. This act was passed in Washington in 2021 to mitigate environmental injustices by implementing policies that prioritize clean air, water, and land, specifically in marginalized communities that are disproportionately affected by environmental hazards and pollution.
My area of focus was on soil remediation and pollution that's coming from the Citgo refinery just northeast of the area that we've been looking at. The main things I wanted to look into were the regulations behind the EPCRA as well as CERCLA. These are two things that are the Community Right to Know Acts, which show us the different toxins that are being released from these things, as well as providing it to the community to be able to show them and have access to that material. The two main things I wanted to focus on were policy adaptation to this, which shows kind of removing some of the exclusions that are in these acts. For reference, the exclusion for CERCLA allows oil refineries to not post the products that are being released from some of the heavy metals. These are not being tracked because they are considered a natural product of the oils, and because of this, they do not have to be listed on these toxin trackers. My main policy thing that I wanted to provide would be to provide further restrictions on these and not really allowing some of these exclusions that are happening. Furthermore, I wanted to provide some mitigation options that kind of allowed people to remove some of these metals without providing probably as much as like a regulation change would do, but still having some change. The main thing I would recommend would be a plant cover addition. This would help to stabilize some of the metals in the soil, as well as kind of providing an initial barrier between the settling of these onto the soil by having plants that are able to pick up some of these rather than letting them settle onto the soil and release back into the atmosphere.
Hello everyone, my name is Olivia, and for my project I focused on looking at the zoning of JFK, the JFK neighborhood and the areas around it, based on the understanding that what has caused so many problems for residents of the neighborhood is their proximity to heavy industry, whether that's Haskell and Lemon, Citgo, or the Derrisburg recycling facility. So ideally the entire point of having different zoned areas within a city is to separate incompatible uses, but as we can see, and as the residents of JFK know well, that is not happening, as the residential areas, which are mostly zoned as R1 or R2, meaning light or heavy residential or light or medium residential uses, are having their quality of life and their property drastically affected by being in such close proximity to heavy industry. And what I found is that while just south of 4th Street is where there is, so just south of the JFK neighborhood, most of the land use there is dedicated as I2 or I3, but especially I3, which is heavy industry, and it's the most intense industrial land use allotted within the city's municipal plan. So obviously even the definitions within the municipal code themselves acknowledge that I3 heavy industrial uses are incompatible with residential use, but unfortunately that situation has been allowed to continue for so long. So I found that the city already has its eye on establishing a new municipal plan for the future, which could be a really good sign. There are definitely, you can find the action points of the new Plan OKC online pretty easily, and there are definitely action points that seem really promising. For example, switching from just the separating incompatible uses approach of zoning to looking more at performance metrics, and that would include things like noise and air quality. So it wouldn't be enough just to say that Derrisburg is an I3. Ideally, I think that would put a little bit more skepticism on the effects of what is actually going on, even if it is zoned for industry. That being said, I think it's really important to kind of keep pressure on the city planning faculties, because within the Plan OKC framework, I saw very little language that referred specifically to environmental justice at all, but also the problems being faced by residents of the JFK neighborhood. For example, there's not much discussion that residents of the city right now are being plagued by industrial noise, pollution, just kind of quality of life issues from being so near industry. So my main policy suggestion would be for the city ideally to outright prioritize environmental justice, and in doing so maybe dedicate personnel and resources to identifying situations like JFK where we know that they have been historically disincentivized, and work with communities in finding a solution that works for them.
Hi, my name is Elise Wall, and I focus more on the destruction with the industrial recycling plant. In the JFK neighborhood, residents are living with a disruptive problem: the explosions from the nearby Derrisburg industrial recycling plant. These explosions, also known as booms, are caused by the fuel left in propane tanks accidentally running through a car shutter, not only disturbing the peace, but also cause structural damage to the homes of those living nearby. JFK neighborhood residents state that the booms are extremely loud. They shake the entire neighborhood, and it's not just the noise. Residents have found excessive cracks in the walls of their homes because of these explosions. The city has been called upon to address this issue, but the problem persists. So what can be done to gather evidence and hold the recycling plant accountable? One solution lies with the Oklahoma Geological Survey. By placing a seismic monitor near the neighborhood, they can accurately measure the impact of these explosions. There is a program in which the Douglas High School can work with the Geological Survey. By collaborating with an interested teacher, the equipment can be housed within the school for 24/7 monitoring the seismograph to K-12 schools as a learning tool. This partnership provides a crucial line of evidence documenting the disturbance and effects these blasts have had on the community.
My name is Sarah Howe, and I focused on the Title VI complaint of Legal Aid of Northwest Texas against the existence of discriminatory zoning in the city of Lubbock. The complaint is titled Complaint under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, 42 U.S.C. Section 2000D regarding civil rights violations by the city of Lubbock for concentrating industrial zoning in majority Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. The Legal Service Corporation offices based in Amarillo, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Lubbock are advocating for the North and East Lubbock Coalition against the city of Lubbock for failing to provide fair and equal zoning protection to the communities of predominantly Hispanic and Black persons of color within the respective neighborhoods of East and North Lubbock with its close proximity to industrial zoning. The Legal Aid of Northwest Texas sent the complaint to the U.S. Department of Treasury, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the U.S. Department of Justice for having the jurisdiction to take action against the violation under Title VI and potentially end the federal financial assistance for these federal departments for the city of Lubbock due to violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The JFK neighborhood should file a similar complaint against its municipality, the city of Oklahoma City. The JFK neighborhood should present historical evidence of the targeted placement of I3 zoning, heavy industrial district, next to a historically black neighborhood. The complaint should bring to light evidence of records showing neglect in handling the issue when complaints from community leaders arose and were received with lackluster support. Then, with the complaint, suggest different options for remediation that align with the neighborhood's values and goals for its residents. Remediation may include ideas of downzoning current industrial sites to prevent future industrial developments next to residential areas. Similarly, Oklahoma City should assess how hazardous these industries are and work to regulate their uses and emissions to protect public health in the neighborhood. Finally, Oklahoma City should downzone all regions belonging to harmful industrial zones that directly influence the quality of life and health of residents residing in residential areas adjacent to the industrial zoning.
Hello, my name is Israel. My area of focus is the negative impacts of air pollution on pollinators, specifically plant-pollinator interactions. Air pollution has been known to affect the foraging behavior of bees, specifically in their floral cues. By implementing the native prairie in Booker T. Washington Park, we can increase the native plants and attract a diverse amount of native pollinators. Then further studies on bees can determine the effects of air pollution as a bioindicator. The implementation of a native prairie would then decrease the impacts of urban heat island, sequester heavy metals released from air pollution emissions, and be aesthetically pleasing to the community. Residents have secured funding from the EPA Environmental Justice Grant and the Maps Forward City Planning Grant. The funding from the EJ CPS will be used to implement landscaping and include the cultural park. And funding from the city will be used to increase connectivity to downtown by implementing street lights, bike lanes, and sidewalks.
Hello everyone, my name is Justin. Today I'll be discussing our strategies to tackle air pollution in the JFK neighborhood, focusing on community action and policy enhancements. Currently, neighborhood members are actively collaborating with our university to tackle environmental justice issues in the JFK neighborhood. While the JFK Neighborhood Association has made significant progress organizing formally with the Northeast Oklahoma City Neighborhood Coalition, could significantly amplify their efforts. This would strengthen advocacy for enhanced air quality monitoring and be more stringent on pollution regulations, addressing the critical need for more robust data and protective measures in this community. Looking at successful models like the Air Alliance of Houston, we see how partnerships have benefited the health of community members. In Houston, heavy industries like oil refineries and metal recyclers have started using cleaner technologies and better business practices. They put in advanced controls to manage emissions, improve how they handle waste, and made their operations more energy efficient. The JFK neighborhood has similar industries, so I believe that forming strong partnerships here could lead to significant improvements in air quality, just like in Houston. CAMP, or the Community Air Monitoring Program, is another impactful initiative spearheaded by the Air Alliance of Houston. It's a program I believe could greatly benefit the JFK neighborhood. By setting up local air quality monitoring stations, CAMP provides real-time data on air pollution, empowering residents with the information they need to address air quality issues effectively. Implementing a similar program in JFK could enhance our community's ability to monitor and respond to pollution, leading to healthier living conditions. For policy, I propose two suggestions for improvement. One, stricter emission standards. These would apply specifically within city and residential areas, focusing on tightening regulations around particle sizes and presence of hazardous pollutants. Second, localized air quality monitoring. Developing city-sponsored programs to enhance our monitoring capabilities, ensuring every resident knows the quality of the air they breathe. Helping tackle air pollution in the JFK neighborhood is about more than just clearing the air. It's about ensuring justice and health for all its residents. By supporting the establishment of a formal neighborhood coalition and advocating for specific policy changes, we can make significant headway towards a cleaner, healthier environment.
We dedicate this research to the JFK Neighborhood Association, and we would like to give special thanks to Ms. Denevetta Davis, President of the JFK Neighborhood Association, for her tireless work, and we hope that this helps to benefit the neighborhood in the future to achieve environmental justice.